Oh, hi. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Confidence Podcast. Hi, everyone. Hi. I've been busy. As you can tell. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to the Confident Podcast. That time where we scratch that gaming itch. Well, not scratch the gaming itch. It's where we talk to each other and also just have a chat. And also go switch over to the right channel because we comment density. Why you're not working? Boom. There you go.
See, if you weren't like playing Pokemon all the time, we would be
is professional.
Okay,
I blame you for this, Shadow.
What did I do?
The look on your face is priceless. Hello, everyone.
I am constantly bullied on this fucking podcast.
Welcome everyone to the Confidence Podcast, where we comment densely upon the news that has been happening this very week. And what an episode we've got for you today! We have a variety of news coming from across the entire interwebs for us to go through, as I have my team with me. I'm of course ABK under this current channel, and I'm joined by Burr.
Hello.
Lemming.
Sup?
Oh no, he's over there.
And Shadow.
Hi, hello.
Hello, everyone. And of course, it's that time where we kind of comment densely upon the news that's happening this month. So, guys, what?
Yeah, also, it's November, so that's why I'm allowed to have my Christmas decks out.
Of course, yes, obligatory Christmas decorations on the pole in the background. Is it the North? Is the North Pole?
I hope not.
Okay.
I think I'm the most northern.
Yes.
No way.
Touche.
Yeah.
Right then, so let's crack on and get into it because we have a lot of news to get through. Let's start off. Bird, do you want to kick us off with the news? The first one in the article, please.
I think somebody did a remix of like the BBC News thing, which was really good.
Good question. That's another sort of
I think we should
unprofessionalism.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
So we have a lot to discuss in terms of our favorite gaming company in the world. At least for news. It's Activision Blizzard King. We're at it again as 20.
Less them and more their CEO Bobby Kotick.
Yeah, Bobby the Kotick. Can I say that on Twitch? Oh, I've said it on Twitch, so it's done.
Probably.
Lots of other people do.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
It's
Twitch.
it's
fine.
fine.
As long as you don't say it again.
Yeah, it's fine. As long as I don't say it again, I'm good. Everyone who's watching have a crystal. So,
do you want to talk about it or shall I?
Well, you probably you go ahead. You go on. Yeah, you go on.
Yeah. So Bobby Kotick has a Wall Street Journal article dropped several weeks ago, which basically it said Bobby Kotick is a right royal ass and is terrible. Is just utterly terrible, ranging from shuffling sexual assault or sexual abusers like around the company, defending them, sending threatening and intimidating voice calls, and all sorts of other things. Oh, and you know that email that Fran Townsend sent round that was extremely tone deaf? That wasn't her. That was actually written by Bobby. Yay! That doesn't let Fran off the hook because she signed off on it. But
and she doubled down.
And she doubled down on it. But he was the one behind it. That's why it was shit. So everything went to. So this came out. Everybody went, oh, for fuck's sake. A second walkout happened. Yay! About, I think it was like 1,000 plus.
A lot of people.
Almost 1,500.
Yeah, almost 1,500 people walked out again, and for the first time ever, actually, other CEOs of other game companies actually started to
let's
voice disconsent.
Yes.
first off being Phil Spencer of Xbox, well, Microsoft. He basically went, "Hey, that's not cool. That's kind of shit, actually." Phil Spencer's actually been having some really good takes about emulation and backwards compatibility. So he's actually been on the money right now. So good for you. The head of Sony, I always forget his name, so you'll have to
Jim
remind
Ryan?
me. Jim Ryan, yeah, not that one, not the one I keep thinking of. Not Paul Ryan, who I keep thinking of is Jim Ryan. So the Sony boss went, "Hey, that's not cool. Like, that's not cool, Activision. You shouldn't be doing that. This will become relevant later." And even Doug Bowser of Nintendo of America didn't say this publicly, but in an internal memo, in an internal email to staff, basically went, "Hey, that's not great. That's not cool," kind of thing. I'm just going to point out it's an internal memo, not an outward
Not a public statement.
and also it's Nintendo of America. The only one that would actually matter would be Nintendo of Japan. If Nintendo of Japan said something or will say something,
Get wrecked, Nintendo of America.
Yes.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. Just
Well,
the way you
you're
the way you
the
dismissed them,
side,
Shadow, was like, damn.
Well,
yeah, but
that's
yeah, but
unfortunately that is true.
It's true, sadly.
yeah, it's just like there's condemnation from the same side, and then there's condemnation from the parent company. And if the
Yeah.
parent company said something,
Mm.
you're gone fucked up.
Yeah, it's like your 6-year-old brother disses someone versus you dissing someone.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. So with the reason why we're being so short on this is because as of, I can't remember if it was the last podcast, the podcast before, we said that we're not really going to go deep into ABK stuff, especially the Bobby Kotick stuff, because some of the stuff that has come out, like I did just like a brief overview, some of the stuff that's come out is yeah. And for the sake of our mental health, we ain't going there.
Yeah, we ain't going there.
Yeah.
We're not diving in that cesspool ever again.
So consider Bobby Kotick should be fired, preferably into the sun. But and also his board of directors should be taken out, because if anything is going to because getting rid of Bobby Kotick would be a victory, but there's the board of directors also help. So oh, one thing I did forget to mention before this happened, Activision Blizzard had, after J. Allen Brack was forced out, we had two co-leaders, Jen O'Neill and Mike Ybarra. A couple of weeks before the Wall Street Journal came out, Jen O'Neill left, citing, well, she was very vague. She says, "I actually would like to do some things about diversity in games." Turns out, according to the Wall Street Journal article, she weren't getting paid the same as her other co-leader.
Ain't that? Yeah. Oh God, that sucks.
You had one job.
One job. No, you had two jobs. You had a co-ownership, and you couldn't even pay them the same.
Oh, so yeah, so Blizzard is still a piece of shit.
Yeah,
That's it.
I just wanted to add one sentence of my summary to this whole thing, because I was reminded today about what Bobby Kotick said in 2009 on a security conference for Deutsche Bank, where he started merging Activision and Blizzard. He said almost word to word, "I'm here to take fun away out of making video games." And it turns out he did. And he also took ethics and humanity out of it.
Kill me. Kill my avatar in World of Warcraft. That's what I mean.
I mean, am I being an old man by saying isn't fun in video games supposed to be the point?
Yeah. No. If you're being an old one, then I'm being an old woman, because I thought that was the entire point.
Yeah, and that was the point, at least from a consumer standpoint.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're games to be played, you know.
Yes.
Anyway, let's move on from the Kotick catastrophe.
Yes.
And
I like that.
Yes.
Let's from now on refer to his name as the K word.
We should Photoshop more devil horns into Bobby Kotick.
Doctor makes a good point.
Is there space on his forehead still for more horns?
Doctor in the chat makes a good point, saying it is the point of games are meant to be a break from reality.
Yes.
Mm.
Indeed.
Okay.
Which is
We did a
why
podcast, which we did a topic on,
Mm.
where,
Yeah.
where I think it was
Also-
like. Sorry, Lemming, you have not spoken in a while.
It's also why post-apocalyptic games are kind of losing their luster.
Oh god.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
god
enough.
damn it. Too soon. Too soon, man. Too soon.
buddy.
Well, I'm gonna get.
Trying to say it. Gotta go.
I'm gonna get payback on you for that. I mean, so news from the 12th of November. Let's talk about Rockstar Games. Rockstar Games have been in the news quite a lot this month because they
Oh, that's
released
right.
they released the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition. It didn't have a good launch, and apparently the PC version was unplayable for about 48 hours, because apparently they had some things to fix that they had to basically take down the game for, so you could not play it in that time, even though you had purchased the game.
Yeah.
You could not.
Up that time, by the way, it's more like 72.
72 then, 72 hours.
Yeah.
This was not an always online game either.
Nope, it wasn't an always online
No.
game. They hid behind general server failures, but confirmed that it was only affecting GTA Definitive Edition. Now the game has come out. It is riddled with bugs.
Tons.
To say it's unplayable would be a lie. You can play it,
Crap, free thought.
but it is definitely not what people expected. Now there are concerns over the visual appearance of the game, and I think that the game looks like a game from 20 years ago that's been upscaled to HD. It looks fine for what it is. It's never going to look amazing, but it looks fine. But the rain looks bad.
I would kind of
Oh, the
disagree
rain makes the game
with the sentence that it looks fine.
I said
It looks fine.
it looks fine. I didn't say it looks great. I just put that
This
way.
is fine.
Everything's on fire.
This is fine.
And this,
Humans don't really look like humans and such.
well, that's a problem with actually the upscaling. There are issues with it. I'm not going to say, like I say, it's not that it's terrible. It's just that it's fine. You get a pass. You don't get a fail. You get a see me off the class. You know, it's one of those things. It doesn't look great.
You get a you could do better.
Yes,
This
basically.
is what happens when you use a computer to do your thing and don't check its work.
Which is exactly what did. Effectively, a lot of the design from this game, very impressive from a perspective of technology, in the fact that they used AI upscaling to basically upscale the graphics, which has led to some hilarious results. Lemming had a gem to share, which I will pop above. In fact, I saw it in an article, so I'll pull up the article about it. Because you guys know what nuts and bolts are, don't you?
God, I hope so.
I was dealing with a few today when I was taking apart a bed.
Well, there you go then. Well, then you'll know all about this little gem, Lemming, as I pull open.
So let's make a little quiz.
What is wrong with this picture is going to be my query to the audience here, because there's the infamous nut. So GTA donut.
The tool chat, not anything else.
Yeah. This is,
And the tool's a Rockstar, by the way.
So you can find it on Reddit. I'm going to Reddit right now. This is the Rockstar Reddit, which shows quite categorically what's wrong with this. So we can pull up the web browser. For some reason, it's not coming up.
Come on, straight.
Come on. You can do it. You can do it, game. You can do it. There we go. It's not like in me today. It's not like in us today.
no.
Not like in me today.
Hmm.
Chrome. I'll open up in Chrome. That'll work.
Yeah.
He says.
Try. It is a Tuesday.
Yeah.
It is Tuesday. There we go.
It is a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Oh.
There we go. Look at that. This is the original. This is the original as it appears. And this is their nut.
They smoothed the nuts!
That's what happens when you get a computer to do your job for you and then don't check over the work.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
yeah,
evidence right there.
If you're that's not a nut anymore. That's a washer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a very thick washer.
Yes.
And we're talking things like spelling mistakes, all sorts appearing in this game, which they are charging. Don't forget, they're charging what? How much did you pay for it, Lemming?
It was about £50, I believe. I can't remember. It's been a month, but not cheap.
I believe when I saw
Not
it
cheap,
was
full price.
it was £55.99 when I checked it on the launcher today earlier.
Yeah, that was it.
Which, that's the thing, it's a price for full price game, and yes, you're getting 3 games for that, old games that are remastered. But I still think, like, if you charge 30 or 20, maybe I can understand it not being as thing. But you're charging AAA prices on old AAA games that don't even look great. It's not acceptable.
Yeah.
There's so much wrong with them.
Yeah.
Also, all those weird AI bugs kind of reminded me of Microsoft Flight Simulator, but the AI over there had to emulate the entire Earth. Whereas here, you just have 3 games that are not even that huge in comparison. And you can supervise it. You can supervise what the hell the AI is doing. And what the AI was doing, it looks more like those free online engines that you can use to create your own, like face swaps and such.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
And
Also, Rockstar, Warcraft Reforged was supposed to be a warning, not something to emulate.
Yeah.
My God.
Both from being a shitty remaster, and also the don't take down the original games, you fuckwit.
Yes, they did take down the original games, which they are now restoring, although, and you'll get the copy for free, but you still have to purchase them if you don't want the new games. What I will also show is, because I think this is a hilarious bug, personally, in my personal opinion, is this, which is the GTA expanding car glitch from the Definitive Edition. This video is posted on YouTube. Check out this shit. Watch the car. It's like a magic trick. Watch the car. Watch the car. What's happening to the car? The car's getting bigger.
What?
Just by wiggling the car left and right, it's just getting bigger. It's just stretch this car, and people say, "Oh, it's a camera trick." No, it's not. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's not a camera trick.
Look at
But
that.
has
Look at that
anyone
boot.
checked it in real life?
Look at those. Look at that.
I kind of want to play this now.
Which?
Oh my God! I did not encounter that.
Which the question? Oh, stop that. Play your game, Rex.
This is what happens to your wheels too.
Which that makes me like. How does that even happen? How do you?
Exactly.
How do you fuck that up?
But part of us is like, we're not even mad. How did you do that?
Yeah.
I have to say, Doctor just dealt with 2 subjects with 1 pun. He said that would drive me nuts.
Doctor, this is your first warning.
But yeah, so Take-Two screwed up, and Rockstar screwed up the Definitive Edition. Customers were asking for refunds, and I don't blame them. Quite frankly, They've only just today released a patch, which we don't know whether they fixed a lot of things. There's a long patch list of what they fixed. Lemming will have to give us a report on what it's like now in the future. So watch this space next time. But yeah, it's been a fuck up, and I don't know. Yeah. This was supposed to be easy money for them. How could they fuck this up that badly? Yeah.
It is legitimately ridiculous. Basically, what's happened, to give us the technical explanation as to what's happened, is they have used an AI to upskill everything to newer resolutions to work on modern systems and to be better looking.
And just
what they didn't do, they just left it. What is supposed to happen is you let the AI do its thing, and then you quality check it.
Yes, because computers take things very literally sometimes and don't have the context that humans have.
That nut is a key example, because clearly what they did is just say, okay, where there's more vertexes, add more vertexes to smooth it out. And they clearly look, oh, that's a bolt. That's a hexagonal thing. That shouldn't be hexagonal. It should be round, smooth, without realizing, no, it's a fucking bolt. It's supposed to be that shape.
It's meant to look like that, darling. Come
Yes. So, yeah, and it's clearly like, how did someone fuck up that bad as well? Missing. Oh, God.
have no idea.
The more I think about it, the stupider I feel.
It's also the spelling mistakes.
Yeah.
Like the AI in like raising the resolution on words has taken what was quite scribbled words to begin with and went, okay, it must mean this, and then posted that onto the wall or the sign or the whatever. So now instead of air guitars from $200, well, $199, but you know what I mean. Air guitars, funny, haha, air guitar, excellent, excellent, all that stuff. R guitars.
No.
AR guitars from $199.
Augmented reality guitars?
Yeah, so AR guitars.
Yes.
What? If they were $200, I might.
Yeah, as a real life example of why AI has to be babysit sometimes. A lot of people I work in a hospital and I code patients coming in for operations. One of the operations that my hospital tends to do is a mastectomy. As you can imagine, this tends to happen with women, but not always, because I coded a patient that was male and having one for reasons that I cannot disclose. But a AI will probably go, that's wrong. The gender is wrong. Therefore, I cannot either. They wouldn't code it, or it would change the gender. And it's like, no. It's actually a guy having the mastectomy. Please,
And to
please
anyone,
don't do that.
and to anyone out there that thinks this is cutting edge, I completely agree. What they did was very impressive. They just lacked the oversight to actually do it. Here's the thing, which I will question: is it may be impressive. Here's the question: if a AI-controlled car pulled up outside your house and says it's going to take you to work every single day, and you've got no control, would you sit inside that car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not right now, no.
Yeah.
Not right now.
Yeah. Autopilots can land planes, but we still have two pilots inside.
Yeah.
A passenger aircraft. Do you know why?
Because they're full of people, and people are important.
Look up the Boeing Max disasters. That's all I'm going to say.
Well,
and then right next to the AR guitars is another sign with another spelling mistake. This is literally like 3 feet away from each other, of Guitar Hank booths available. And it's a viable, by the way. A viable. I don't think that's the word, but a viable. Guitar Hank booths are viable. The original sign was Guitar Wank booths available. Because that's the term for anybody who does a lot of, look at me, I'm amazing at guitars because I can do a really wanky solo. That's known as Guitar Wanker.
Let's move on from Rockstar. I think we've definitively said they screwed it up, screwed the pooch. Again, easy money. How the fuck did you screw this up? PlayStation...
At least we have tons of videos on YouTube with funny... funny glitches and such.
That's true.
Yeah.
On the same episode we did, the same day with the episode last month, we actually had this PlayStation State of Play. If you didn't see it, you didn't miss much. It was a yawn fest of Bug Snacks, Kart Riders Drift, King of Fighters 15, which is quite interesting, Devil Inside, Death's Door coming to PlayStation 4 and 5, First Class Trouble, and FNAF Security Breach. Pretty much.
And then it ended.
Then it stopped, and I think most of us were like, is that fucking it?
Yeah.
Well, where's the rest of it?
Yeah.
Well, Little Devil Inside was interesting, but that was like all of 20 minutes of the whole thing. The State of Play was like literally 22 minutes.
I think they could have
commercials and everything.
They could have done without just doing a State of Play and waiting till they had like a lot of substantial stuff, because people were expecting like more God of War, the big hitters. That's there was no. The biggest hitter in that was FNAF Security Breach.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, that's not even done by Scott Cawthon anymore, because he's left the game industry. And I'm just gonna say it looks a lot better when he's not doing it.
So yeah, you didn't miss much in the State of Play. Nintendo 6, and we on to the next news article. Nintendo 64 emulation is no good, very bad, as the notes say here. Some people are outraged they're given for an upgraded online subscription fee of $50. It's bad, people. It's not as bad as some people are saying. It's still bad. It's still pretty bad, and Nintendo should be ashamed. quite frankly. It's another see me after class. You can do better. You okay there, Lemmy?
Lemming? I think we've. He's muted, so I don't even know. But yeah, there
I had to go
was.
to the other I had to go to the other end of my room for something.
Okay.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. As we were talking about emulation, was it last episode? I think pretty much.
We were.
It was basic. We did briefly touch on this, but it's just like, ha. I think that was before it was actually out, wasn't
Yeah.
it? We were commenting. It was just like that seems a little too much. It was too much. Like people were like lining up how emulation was being done on the Wii and the Wii U next to the Switch, and it wasn't that good. Nintendo, sorry.
No.
I think a lot of people also have to be aware that a lot of emulators that exist on the market now that are not a Nintendo brand, these have been worked on by modders, I guess, for a very long period of time,
Yeah.
many years. So you've
Without
got
the pressure
to.
of time.
Yeah, exactly. They've not had the pressure of time or people on their back saying, no, you can't do this, you can't do that kind of thing. They've had time to refine it down to the very last detail. They played these games a lot, so they're just like, they know what they're looking for, and they're going down right to the nice nth detail. And one of them, in one of the articles that I saw, did point out that part of the reason why Mario Kart 64's emulation on the Switch is, I wouldn't say suspect, but just not as good as it should be, is the online connection uses a method that Nintendo likes to use, which is a lockstep. I think it's got a technical name, but I can't remember what it is. But basically, it pulls everybody into lockstep, or every connection into lockstep with each other. But in doing so, it will obey the slowest connection, the one with the highest ping. And so everybody's working to that single ping. So there's a lot of input lag and a lot of jumping around and just a lot of latency issues. And for a game like Mario Kart, that's not great.
And I also get your comment about, people who've worked on these emulators for years are fans and they spent years crafting it. I understand that. Unfortunately, that excuse flies out the window as soon as you ask me to pay for £50 for your product.
Yeah.
A month for your product.
No.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
I
I didn't. I wasn't.
Sorry.
Burr, then Shadow.
Yeah. That was probably mostly a rebuttal for all those comments that would say, "Oh, Nintendo has all the access, but still, just a couple of fanboys in their basement made a better emulator."
That's what. Yeah, that's what I meant. It was more a case of you have to be aware that
The context, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
and I think
I think people. I do agree that people get a bit of high horse about that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do completely understand that. For what we're having to pay, it needs to be much better. It needed to be much higher quality than this, especially. And I think if you're going to sell on emulation, you need to be damn sure it's not worse than your previous outings. I think that's
fair.
Yeah.
Well, we've taken that's another company taken to task. Scratch it off the list.
Quick, just walking around burning everything.
So some more positive news. Sony changes the producer label on ports to PlayStation PC, making PC games sniff the air with hope. Which seems to be that more PlayStation games could be coming to PC, which is going to be great. Which, to be fair, I actually kind of like the idea of it. Of like, if they're God of War coming to PC, I'm not even mad because the game's years old. If you wanted to play it when it first came out, sure, you got to buy a PlayStation. But people, if you're not bought a PlayStation now to play it, you're not going to play it. Whereas there are some people that are like, oh, if it was available, I'll get it, but I'm not going to buy a console that I'm not going to play usually just to play it. So now people get to experience it. I like the idea. I'm all for it.
Yeah, exactly. Besides, with a piece. Sorry, go on, Lemming.
Even somebody with a console that can play God of War. My brother-in-law sold me one last year. I never plug it in because I have a full-strength PC and not enough space. If it came to Steam or even another marketplace, I would happily buy God of War on PC to play that story. Same with Ghost of Tsushima. Same with loads of other things.
Yeah, there's a really cute upcoming like Sony game called Tchia, I think it is. That's upcoming for Sony, and it's just like I love that game, but I won't be able to play it if it doesn't come to
I wish I
PC
could play it on
because
PC.
I'm not getting a PS5. I can't. Well, we all know Ebak's been trying to get a PS5 for love no money.
Oh my!
Also, Sony's not really losing
Also, it's
much
been a year.
by putting games on PC, even new games, let alone old games like God of War or Uncharted 4. Sony still, it's so much easier to buy a console, play on a console, and cheaper than getting a PC and playing on a PC the same games. So Sony doesn't really lose that much by releasing them on PC.
Well, I'd argue that exclusives have the purpose of trying to drive sales. So I can see them why they don't want to put them immediately onto PC. I go back and forth because what I can understand that it's shitty that you've got to do that. At the same time, I can also see why they're trying to do it to try and encourage people to buy a PlayStation. Yeah, I don't know. I go back and forth between it personally. Yeah, but I can see your point though.
Yeah. I mean, because from my perspective, it would be like if I don't have either, or if I have like a laptop, and I could like consider if I want to play the new God of War that releases on PlayStation and PC at the same time, do I want to buy a £2,000 PC or a £499 PlayStation to play it?
Well,
that is kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, well, for a lot of people, it's probably easier to, as you said, it's probably easier to get the console because everything is packed into that. You don't need to worry about compatibility issues building the damn thing. I mean, fucking. Does anybody have a easy surprise for GP? We won't have a proper supply of GPUs until maybe 2023, maybe 2022, later in that year. So it is easier to get just a console where everything is built in. You don't need to worry about upgrading it or maybe the drivers perhaps, but that comes in with system updates regardless. But at the same time, I personally would be okay with Microsoft and Sony just going like, we have this game on our proprietary console, but a little further into the year, then you get the PC kind of thing. So long as there's a guarantee that a PC port is going to come at some point, then I'm okay with it, kind of thing. It's just it'll be on this console. When are we going to get a PC port?
I really liked how when Kojima released Death Stranding, he literally a few weeks later said, "Yeah, it's coming to PC like next year or something," and you could wait, and like 15 months later, it was on PC.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah.
Also, on an off note, I'm going to take us into a 1-minute tangent here. Thank you, NHS. You did very well today.
Oh, what do they do?
No, I just, in the course of the reason I went over there was I needed my passport.
I'm
going to go see a show tomorrow, and my friend recommended, you should probably get a COVID pass. What's one of those? And I'll do that this evening. Well, it's
you have to do you have to get the NHS app. Which I
downloaded the NHS app, took a photo of my passport, took a little selfie, and then it says within 24 hours. It's been 2 minutes. I've already gotten my my clearance and gotten a pass. So well done, NHS.
Yes.
Yeah, I should probably get one of those myself. Also, please fund the fucking NHS.
Yes,
get a fucking vaccine.
Get
a fucking vaccine. I swear to God, because also I'm gonna continue this tangent for a little bit longer. Like everybody who is in the not everybody's in the ITU, but the vast majority of people who are in the ITU and dying are unvaccinated people. This is not a joke. People are going down like a sack of bricks. Like people, according to ITU consultants, like people who are unvaccinated with COVID will go down in hours. They get worse, severely worse in hours. Like, please get your vaccine. I swear to God. with the new variants, it's just like we don't know.
Yeah,
We don't know about Omicron and how exactly it affects the vaccine, but any vaccine is good because basically it prevents severe illness, and that's the main thing, kind of thing. It's not great to
Yeah.
get COVID, as Evac will
Mm.
probably
It sucks. It
Yes.
fucking sucks. Get a fucking vaccine. If you're an anti-vaxxer, fuck
Yeah.
off.
yeah,
And
exactly.
here's the crux of it. The simple fact is there is a new variant in
Mhm.
taking the the news and taking the world, and that the only reason that exists is we allowed COVID to exist for this long. People not
Yes.
getting vaccinated, people still refusing to not spread this
Mhm.
shit
Yeah.
are the only reason why that virus has been around long enough for it to mutate multiple times.
Yeah.
Fuck you
Yeah.
if you're refusing.
Yeah. Also, the vaccine will work. Will work on the variant. Might not be as effective as it would have been, but it still works. So please, please, come on.
Yeah.
If you're gonna start anti-vax shit with me, I will just
Don't.
beat you in. I swear to
Okay.
God.
Positive news. Amy Hennig and Skydance Media are making a Marvel game. That's great. The creator of one of the people behind Uncharted and the Legacy of Kain series. Amy Hennig does some good stuff, so I'm curious to see what that happens.
Yeah.
Germany also lifts its ban on the N64 GoldenEye 007 game, which might mean that it might in the future be available on something, maybe, I don't know, Nintendo 6 Online? Nintendo Switch Online, perhaps, maybe?
God, I hope. God.
Yeah.
Potentially,
Hopefully.
one of the greatest shooters of all time.
Yes.
The Book of Boba Fett got its first trailer at the start of the month, and oh boy, it looks fucking great. I cannot wait until December 29th when it actually comes. I'm going to be watching that. It's going to be my I have pretty much most Christmas off, so I'll probably be actually no, I can't binge it because I'll just have episode 1 out.
Envy.
So I'll probably be watching episode 1 quite early in the morning on when it's released on the 29th.
Hey, yeah, the 29th. That's the day after our podcast.
Hey. Also, it turns out
possibly a podcast where there will be 5 of us.
Maybe we'll see. Chris Pratt is voicing Mario and Garfield. It seems.
God.
Not in the same movie though.
Not in the same movie. But yes,
the ultimate crossover.
Chris Pratt has become the guy who, as one of my friends at the meetup said, have you found that you recently could be voiced by Chris Pratt? Please call this number. And
no, I've heard rumors that Chris Pratt is getting all the voicing gigs at the moment because he's unvaccinated and nobody's gonna take an unvaccinated person. That's only a rumor, though. No, I can't confirm it.
Let's not spread rumors and speculation at this point. But so yeah, that's what's happening.
I'm just like, if I had the opportunity to work from home, hell yeah.
Yeah, Did we even talk about the Super Mario movie?
We did last time. Well, we a little bit, not too much. We kind of glossed over it.
Yeah, basically, that's a thing.
It's a thing.
The only good casting is Jack Black as Bowser. Expect a lot of Rule 34.
Speaking of Bowser,
because we know he's going to put 110% into being as goofy as fuck.
He is going to carry that fucking movie on his big broad shoulders.
Inside his beard. I think there's a few professional voice actors in that movie too. But
where is Charles Martinet for Mario though? God fucking damn it.
Why can't we have nice things? Speaking of Bowser, a Bowser was sent to jail recently as Nintendo.
He's said to be throwing blue shells at people who are first.
Is he? Could you say he's one of the Koopalings?
Maybe, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. So let's have a look here. I'm pulling up the things so you guys can see it. There we go. Yeah, Nintendo hacker Gary Bowser pleads guilty on piracy charges. You can't make this shit up.
Not with determinism, guys.
Gary Bowser, 51-year-old Canadian hacker, and not to be confused with Nintendo America's President Doug Bowser, or, Mario's nemesis, thank you, IGN, has pleaded guilty to multiple charges of hacking against Nintendo. He must now pay up to $4.5 million and faces 10 years in jail, Eurogamer reports.
Rip.
Yes. We just thought this was throwing because it was a fun little thing. One, don't be a hacker, don't be a douchebag. And,
Yeah, but on
Go on.
the other hand, Nintendo is the synonym of litigious.
Yeah, but
you fucking sneeze and Nintendo will sue you. Come on.
yeah, exactly. In this case, though, the United States government actually helped with this one, so I presume that the hacking group was doing a little more than just cracking
Cracking
Nintendo
games.
screens.
Yeah, I highly recommend. Yeah, there's probably a lot more going into that, like organized crime and such. But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
It's just
it's hilarious.
Just kind of you're as bad as each other.
Yes, pretty much.
Yep.
One thing I want to point out, which basically I'm just going through and removing a few things, I'm going to come back to this piece of news as it will be relevant to our topic later today. Insomniac made the final battle in Marvel Spider-Man much less ambitious to avoid crunch.
Woo!
Thank you, Insomniac Games. Thank you, Insomniac Games.
Excellent.
We need more people. We need more people like Insomniac Games in this world.
Whenever
more of that.
Whenever you hear things like that, like with the Ratchet and Clank, they were also avoiding all kinds of crunch if they could. Also, the team there is this indie dev that created a sort of lackluster, really nice little game called Biomutant. They also were promoting it as a game created with no crunch, no strain on the devs, and creating a very, very nice, friendly atmosphere.
Yeah, it's probably why it took so.
Really great.
Yeah, it's probably why it took so fucking long to come out. But if I mean, I can hardly complain. If that's the reason why it took so long, then go nuts. Then.
Yes.
I mean, unfortunate that it didn't do as well as people were hoping, but hardly. I can hardly say, "Oh, you took a long time to avoid crunch. Oh, your game is not so great."
Yeah.
I would rather you don't do the crunch and your game to be slightly average rather than
yes, I agree.
than to crunch yourselves.
Also, that's like one of the first steps and a step in the right direction.
Exactly.
So Rockstar Games might have been in the news this month, but it was another form of robbery that made quite a big splash in the news as the great GPU robbery of 2021 occurred.
Oh, no.
As robbers made off with a truckload worth of GPUs in a GTA-style heist. You can't make this shit. As reported by Digital Trends here, EVGA has been hit by a heist that's worthy of a silver screen. In a scene ripped straight from the heat of your favorite version of Grand Theft Auto, robbers intercepted a truck carrying shipments of EVGA RTX 30 series graphics cards and made off with them. They haven't said how many cards were stolen, though they range anywhere between $330 to $1,959 in value.
If that ends up in a fucking cryptocurrency mine, I'm going to be extremely disappointed.
That's the sad thing.
The cynic in me kind of says that this is exactly why they wanted it, because there's not that much money in selling those to gamers as it is to mine
cryptocurrency. Yeah.
Oh, cool! Now they're a criminal organization. Tell me more about how NFTs are going to save the planet.
Fuck you, NFTs.
Yes. Please die. Please go bank. Please. I wish all NFT bros are very happy. Go bankrupt.
Yep.
I got something special which I can't.
hope you bankrupt everybody who uses you.
Yes.
A better Ubisoft employee group launches another petition because their previous was completely ignored by Ubisoft. Ubisoft, stop doing that shit.
Stop it.
Pretty much.
Stop it.
I signed it. Yeah, I signed it.
I did.
Yes, because fuck Ubisoft. Just because you can usually get away with it by just ignoring it and keep putting your head in the sand doesn't mean that we will forget. I certainly don't.
Yep.
I still haven't forgotten your shit, Paradox. Still not playing any of your games.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
I know I'm only like a tiny Tiny small person. But...
Speaking of not being able to play games, a segue into Denuvo. Denuvo domain servers failed, and a lot of games refused to start over the weekend due to the fact that the Denuvo, for anyone who doesn't know, what is Denuvo, people?
It is an anti-piracy software and it's notorious for breaking people's PCs and generally not being very good. And what happened was several games that use Denuvo. For the most prominent one I can remember is Planet Zoo, but there are quite a few. Basically, they have to contact the Denuvo server to say, "Hey, I'm a legit copy of this game." It has to do it every time it boots, which is less than great. But let's move on. Basically, it went to talk to the server and got no response because it wasn't there. Do you know why it wasn't there? Denuvo had forgotten to like pay for the domain name for its servers. So the game was talking to a server that didn't exist because they'd forgotten to pay for it. So loads of games just didn't work. Didn't work at all. Couldn't even play them offline.
Even worse, the server existed. It wasn't visible on the internet.
Yeah.
That's what we call an oopsie.
Yeah, that's what you call like. This is the problem with piracy. That is a problem with piracy, but it's also a problem with like really like always online DRM. Just like if something like this happens, you can't play your game.
Always on
DRM.
Always on DRM that requires an internet connection for a single player experience is fucking stupid.
Cool.
Yeah,
and this is why.
That's why you shouldn't have them.
It's not only absolutely ridiculous, but
it's also ineffective.
Especially when you have an SSD, a lot of versions of Denuvo just went through SSD cycles like through butter, and your hard drive was limited. If it had a possibility to last over 100 years, it was reduced like to 10 years of age.
It's crazy just what... And that's the thing which I hate about DRM is the fact that it doesn't actually stop piracy.
Nope. It slows it.
Yeah. It slows it. All it does is create a roadblock for your legitimate customers to get through.
Yeah. God, I remember fucking Spores nonsense. Like only three activations per product key.
Yeah, but I never got to play that game properly as a direct result because by the time I got around to it, the game was shut down. So all of the servers weren't up.
Well, it's on Steam now and it does work.
Hey.
So
it's
sort of okay. It's sort of okay with Origin. It's not great, but it does function.
So
let me tell you a funny story about Spore, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Because my niece and nephew wanted to play Spore because they were in an age where you actually really get excited on creating all those crazy creatures that you.
I'm actually tempted to boot it back up again.
And yeah, I wanted to install Spore from the original disc. Somehow my brother's computer still had a CD drive, so we were able to. But the installation didn't work. The license key didn't want to apply. So we called EA Poland asking to help us with it. And they literally told us that they will return to us in 3 days, because that was Friday evening. So they said they'll return to us on Monday because they have no idea how to do it. It's to all the games.
I love it.
Whoop.
Can we get back to you so we can look it up in the library?
Yeah,
they probably looked it up on PC Gaming Wiki. Not gonna lie.
I ended up buying Spore again on Origin just so that the kids could play. But
let's take Sony to task now. Sony are actually a little bit hypocrites themselves as they stood up against the discrimination happening at ABK. However, they're potentially facing a lawsuit for charges of gender bias, discrimination, and harassment. Bad Sony. So what? Just do better. Be better.
Yeah, it's just like if you're in a glass house, don't throw stones.
I mean, if you're in a glass house, don't throw anything.
Yeah. I also wanted to point out that Hitman 3 sold so well that IO announced that it's really great profit for fiscal year 21. It made more than all the previous years combined. in terms of Hitman, which is.
Oh wow!
And so they announced Hitman Year 2, which includes things like VR support for PC coming. Yes, I
nice.
cannot wait. So a bit of
I
positivity
might
there.
get it now.
Yes.
You can get thunk personal.
I can get Thunkle personal.
Yes.
I do want to finish off on Nintendo before we go into modding, which is our main subject of tonight. A reviewer I watch, RGT85 on YouTube, if you want to check out his content. He was sold a copy of Metroid Dread from a store before the release date.
I think I heard about this.
Yeah, he played the game, and he released a review without breaking embargo. He posted his review after the embargo lifted. However, Nintendo is chasing him because he played the game before the embargo was lifted. Not released a review, but played the game before the release.
Well, that's fucking dumb.
Simply put, fuck you. That's not how this works.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
So they asked for his review to be taken down off YouTube, effectively.
That's so stupid. That
It
is
is.
just the worst.
It's like, that's not how an embargo works.
Yeah, if there was like a day one patch or something, I could see them saying, hey, make sure to mention that you played it before this day one patch came in. But if there wasn't, then no.
Yeah,
No,
someone
that's
said no
shit.
long ago.
Yeah, and also, why are you going after him? Surely you should be going after the seller.
Yes. That's my whole thing with this. Is like, and this goes back to what you guys were saying about Nintendo being particularly litigious. They sue anyone. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Someone said not long ago you can't sneeze without Nintendo suing you. Well, we have proof.
I mean, Nintendo. Don't actually come at me. No, actually come at me. Come on, fuck at me.
Yeah, come on.
Don't actually.
Now he can thunk in VR. Come at him.
God, it's gonna be like Home Alone, but with more wrenches.
Yes.
And I'd just like to segue, before we move on to the main topic of the day, I have two pieces of news from more recently.
Oh, God.
That nobody else in here really... First one, that company we are all refusing to buy games from.
Oh.
Activision.
Which one? Oh, that one.
Specifically, Activision.
Yeah.
Released Call of Duty Vanguard.
Mm-hmm.
And I am the community gun guy, I would say.
Yes, you are you're our resident weapons expert. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Call of Duty Vanguard is set in World War II.
Uh-huh.
Quite famously, they've gone back to the World War II setting, which is fine, you know. And then they've added a gunsmithing system to their multiplayer, because you have to have a progression system now. So all of their weapons can have gunsmiths, so you can change bits, add suppressors, all that, sights, all that stuff. And it's causing a fuss in the gun community, because if you're going to make a World War II themed gun game, make it authentic.
Okay,
Yes,
this is the point where I have to actually call out on your bullshit and say no. As from a game designer perspective.
Yeah, from a game designer perspective, yes. But if you're Call of Duty and your main thing has been authenticity,
but it's not authenticity.
It is. Every time that every gun in a Call of Duty game has always been what has actually existed.
I mean,
Even if they've been theoretical models, they've actually existed. Nothing available in this happened in World War II.
Wait, do you mean the guns in Future Warfare are guns that are like prototyped?
Yeah, the stuff in the futuristic stuff is all based on weapons we have today, just futurized.
Yeah, I mean,
there's an AK, there's an M4, they're all there. It's the main argument here is, why are there red dot sights on everything?
Yes. Thing is, why
are there electronic dot sights on all of your guns?
That is a problem with the gaming with an issue. That is a very grey area when you get to that, because I can see what you're saying, but at the same time, it's also...
I understand it's a game.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of quantify, because I hate it when people say, oh, it needs to be authentic. No, it doesn't. Give players an opportunity to have a gun that they want to run.
I'm not saying it has to be realistic. I'm just saying it has to be authentic. There is a distinctive, philosophical difference here.
I still think there is a very...
There is room for, like, for example, I'm not going to complain if you let me spray paint my gun.
Don't you be chuckling down there, I see you. Don't make me come down there.
But it's the fact that if you're setting a game
You
in the
fucking
World
try.
Yeah, the thing is, if you're setting your game in the World War II period, even if it's like experimental
Fucking try.
stuff, oh god,
I get your
even if
point,
you're
Levin.
doing that, yeah, red dot sights did exist in World War II. Don't get me wrong, they did. They were used in one situation: aircraft guns.
Yeah, because that's what they were available for.
The head of display for aircraft guns because they were big enough to fit there. You're not going to have that on top of your machine gun. But yeah, that's number one. The gun community is exploding over the ridiculousness of the weaponsmithing in Call of Duty Vanguard. The next one is people are complaining about Halo Infinite
How?
because Halo Infinite released. It's free to play. It's the multiplayer. You can pre-order the actual like single player, and that's in the future. It's early December, 8th of December. The single player comes out.
Okay.
It won't be coming with co-op, unfortunately, until a bit later. But they will be releasing the actual story in about just over a week.
Okay.
But the multiplayer, even though it's labeled as beta, has a season pass.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
And it's the season pass is free, but the grind is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I've seen about this. Basically, there is. I don't think you can get away with saying a multiplayer's in beta when you're literally offering in-game currency to then use in the progression system.
Yeah,
they've already called it season 1.
Yeah,
And that.
Not season 0.
Yeah, I work with what the late great Total Biscuit said. If you are charging money, that's no longer early access or a beta.
Yeah.
It's now the release kind of thing.
It's a product that people are paying for.
Yeah, and it should be treated as such.
Yeah. And I'm not going to go far into the subject because, frankly, there are people on YouTube who have done much better, like full-length discussions on the topic that will do it much better than me. Nevertheless, the gameplay of Halo Infinite is stellar. I've played it for a bit. It's really, really good. Smooth as anything. Run fine and plays like classic Halo games. Not like Halo 5. This one's actually good. But what's marring it is the disgusting real money cramming down your throat that they put into it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And it's causing a real fuss in the community. So please, 343 Industries, you're doing well.
Please don't fuck it up.
You're making it feel like classic Halo is back again. Stop with the season pass bullshit. Please.
We do need to get into our topic, but there's one more thing I want to talk about, which I think is very telling about the games industry today. Did you guys know that EA stopped Battlefront 3 being developed?
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yep.
Wow.
Battlefront 3, as in Star Wars Battlefront 3.
Oh, yes, I know now. Yeah, because I shared it with you guys.
EA basically said it's not worth the money. It was rejected by EA as effectively it got turned down because it takes 20% more sales to make the same money.
It's a Star Wars game, guys! And if you hadn't fucked up the second one with your pride and accomplishment bullshit, you would probably have a better outcome, wouldn't you?
Have you taken a good look at Jedi Fallen Order, at Star Wars Squadrons? They did surprisingly well for what they were in comparison to Battlefront 2, which, because of your monetizing bullshit, did very poorly for what it was.
Didn't Battlefront 2 actually improve in the
It did.
later
Yeah.
stage?
I will stand on my hill and say Battlefront 2 is a fucking good game. At least now it is. And it's a pretty decent game.
Yeah.
But
the only problem is your first impressions count.
Unfortunately, yes.
First impressions matter. If your game goes down as a buggy mess, it's not going to survive for very long. I mean,
most sales at the time to impress the stakeholders is the first month of sales.
Yeah, I mean, No Man's Sky might be a great game now, but it's not selling any copies now because of awful launch.
I have to actually, I have to go on the defense for No Man's Sky here, and I've got to say, we do have to be able to forgive.
Yes.
Yeah, I have
Because
fully forgiven them. I bought the game.
Yeah. The thing with No Man's Sky is, like, I will give it props. It did start terribly, but then Sean Murray, I actually watched a documentary on this. Like, Sean Murray actually basically, like, all the hate that was coming in for those games, he funneled it directly to his inbox. Like, every email he was funneled to his inbox. He took it away from all of his team and basically just like, so he took that deluge on his shoulders. That dude. And
That's incredible.
yeah, and they basically just put their fucking heads down and made the game better again. And I think we have, as much as first impressions do count, we do have to acknowledge that if a game does work hard and does sort of bring itself back, we need to
Yes.
we need to reward that as well. Like, if, for example, Cyberpunk does manage to build itself back up in the end, then we need to reward that as well. Like, there's a lot of shit. There's a lot more shitty stuff going on with CD Projekt Red in the behind the scenes with Cyberpunk than there was with Hello Games. But even so, I just needed to sort of point that out.
I think you've got a good point there. The only unfortunate thing is that does influence sales, because when the game's released, that's where the biggest hype is. I was there day one of Battlefront 2. I bought into it all. It was terrible.
So did I.
Yeah.
And a game that's happened very recently with that is a new modern shooter called World War III, which released in 2018. It released about it might have been 2019. Nevertheless, it released to acclaim, like, hey, look, this game, it could beat Battlefield. It came out about the same time as Battlefield. It could beat Battlefield. And then there was lots of problems. It was an indie team. It didn't do very well.
Oh no.
So they nutted up, apologized, removed the game from the store, shut the servers down, and spent another 2 years making it again. They've released it last week into closed beta. You can get into it for about £15 if you buy the base level pack. And it is so much better.
That's good to hear.
In comparison to the Battlefield we got this year, as a multiplayer-only shooter, it's top-notch. As a beta, it's well on its way to being a great shooter. And for them having the balls to go, okay, we don't have a publisher, we're doing this on our own, we're going to remove this for 2 years and try again.
That's
takes a lot of balls.
Yeah.
That is a very good move. That's a very pro-consumer move too.
It's getting some great reviews now, so congratulations to them for actually putting the effort in.
I've been seeing you play it on Discord, so that's probably a good.
It's an enjoyable game. I'm loving the infantry combat. I'm loving jumping into a tank. It is very Battlefield. You've got vehicles and infantry, and it's great.
The last game, the last news I want to talk about is one released on the 3rd of November 2021. An ingenious mod called Crusader Blade lets you fight battles from Crusader Kings 3 in the Mountain Blade 2 engine. Which, taking these two games and just mashing them together almost. Great idea and concept. And that leads into our topic of the night, which is modding. So, for those of you, for you two that don't know what modding is, because maybe you just never really had a computer, modding is where you take the game itself and you apply changes to it. And there could be anything. It could be
modifications, really.
Modifications, yeah. It could be as small as simply changing the texture so you got a smiley face on your gun. Or it could be as large as adding an entirely new quest line into an RPG.
Or a conversion.
Or a conversion where it changes the entire game to be something entirely new. And there's an entire community. ModDB is a nice place to look at and go look through them. And we're going to be talking about modding and its impact upon gaming tonight, at least from our personal perspectives, because modding's been around since, the days of Doom, really, when you've got, of course, map making. You could kind of think map making as kind of a form of modding. In fact, I started out my career as a map maker in a mod. So, that's how I got into university, then went to game design, to study game design, and so on and so forth. So, these things usually are a step on the rung for people who then go into the games industry and make larger things. However, modding itself is very interesting because they don't usually have the same tools as developers. They have to find workarounds and find hacks that they can then utilize and exploit within the game itself to then create their expertise. So I'm going to go around. Let's start around a round table at this point. Let's go through like mods that we've played, that notable mods that we think people should be aware about. Even if it's not a case that you should be aware of this and you should play it, a case of I like this mod. Let's start with you, Burr.
Okay. Well, I actually wanted to start with a small brag, which is I also started as a sort of modder when I was doing fan localization to the first UFO games. UFO Enemy
wow.
Unknown by Microprose. It was in English. I wasn't that good in English. So with the use of Hex Editor and all kinds of like cracking tools and the dictionary, I was making a Polish version of that game so that I can have my brother play
Oh,
it. I was even wizard English at that time.
Oh, that's really
So
good.
that's great.
that was my first mod, sort of.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Sweet.
and I got to say I learned a lot of English just by trying to translate things. That's a great crucible.
Well, some modders see
Yeah.
that as the learning experience. Like some people teach themselves the skills and through modding. Like I want to learn how to use this engine, so I'll make this mod. You know, that's generally how people start off. So yeah, that's very impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mostly I didn't play that many games with mods because usually when I would like find out that I first wanted to just learn the game without the mods that would expand, enhance, or anything. But I love the mods that are like improving the UI. That's my favorite kind of mods, and I've done a lot of them on the games like The Witcher 3 mostly because the UI is really in the way. Instead of looking at the beautiful scenery and rendered graphics, you would look at the map, you would look at what you're supposed to do, you would look at your stats, etc. And there was a lot of mods created just so that all those things would be improved, so that all the UI elements would hide and then show up at one button, or that instead of looking at a map, you would have a pointers on the screen pointing you towards the direction, like it's done in Assassin's Creed right now, or other more modern open world games. There was a lot of really fun, really useful UI changer mods. That was what I was mostly looking at and looking for in a mod community, and that works wonderful. That works really well with a game. If a game, because of the UI, would be like inaccessible to you, that would really help you with it.
Nice. Nice to hear your kind of experience with that. Lemming, have you got any for yourself?
Yeah, well, the most I use mods for, I'm not really big into mods, but I have used them plenty in the past. The main reason to use mods is, for me, to make them run better. Specifically with like older games. Fallout 3, for example,
Right, yeah.
won't really run these days without mods. And once you've got it running, you can add more to make it actually look more. There are thousands of texture update packs available on places like Nexus Mods and all the mod databases and such. And I would be remiss in mentioning Minecraft.
Of course.
The amount of mods for Minecraft is insane. When me and my friends would be playing Minecraft back when I first got an actual PC that would work, we installed the Technic pack, which takes Minecraft from, mine, defeat the Ender Dragon, win the game, to let's go to the moon. Fuck it, let's build a rocket and go to the moon. It's like the sheer striking span of modding capability is insane, especially now that Steam, thank you once again, Steam, for adding the workshop to make it even easier.
What a fucking godsend the Steam Workshop is for mods.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly, and it's so useful. I mean, where it's all down to the game to include the access to the workshop, but when you've got games like Command & Conquer Remastered, having access to the workshop, which means players can pass around their maps, because it has a full map editor, so why not? So you make a map, put it on as a mod, other people get to use it in their private multiplayer games.
Mm.
Not
That's brilliant.
Not showing off anything in particular, but I'm just on like Nexus mods right now for Fallout 4, just showing just kind of all the various mods you can do, even just simple things like the lowered weapons mod, which basically at all times in first person you've got your weapon at the ready, whereas the new version basically means that when you're not aiming particularly, you kind of just you're going in a natural position. You know, little things just like that can just make the game so much more engaging for people. From like people taking screenshots and things like that.
Yeah.
While we're at it, could we maybe come back to the mod that refers to the subject of GTA trilogy definitive edition?
Oh yes, indeed.
Yes.
While Rockstar has been releasing a large series of updates to try and fix their definitive edition release, which has gone out today, by the way. The mod is over 29. Oh, the total updates are over 29 gigabytes, which means I'm going to be installing them overnight tonight. Wonderful. But all of these fixes have already been tackled by the community.
Yep.
The tough nuts donuts problem we saw has already been fixed by a community member. There's a mod for it. There's also mods that give you 99% save file completion, because they're a thing. But
That's
yeah,
not really a mod though. That's a save file.
Yeah, that's a save file, but it's classified by some people as a mod.
Yeah.
And one mod that I'm probably going to be installing once these updates have been completed is the better road textures mod for Vice City. Because, yeah, I want my roads to look better if I'm driving on them.
ModDB is also a nice site where you can go and collect some modifications as well. Generally speaking, modifying a game is not risky. I say risky because if the game if it breaks a game, you uninstall the game, reinstall it, fresh install, jobs are good. But you know,
I do have modding. I don't have modding experience, but I have used mods myself. If you don't want to forget that there's somebody else here on this podcast as well.
I'm assuming we were getting to you.
Yeah, we're getting to you now. What is yours then, Shadow?
I've spent like most of my time with mods was basically gameplay mods a lot of the time. I basically have used mods most of the time to mostly in BioWare games. They were my main bread and butter. For Dragon Age and Mass Effect mostly. For Mass Effect 1, it was a HD mod to just tart the whole thing up a bit. And that required the large address awareness patch and such like. For Dragon Age Origins, it was basically a skip the fade mod because fuck that level. Fuck that level in particular. And I think I tried one mod that skipped the scene where Morrigan says, "Hey, in order for you or Alistair to not die when you kill the archdemon, I have to bang Alistair if you're a female warden." And it's just like, okay, sure. And it's like, let's have a really awkward sex scene between this two. And it was basically a mod to skip that entire scene because that was fucking weird.
Yeah.
I also used a mod in Dragon Age Origins as well, but please go on.
Yeah, and the biggest mods that I used were I've used mods for all sorts. I've used mods for Divinity Original Sin 2. I used one which basically allowed all of my party members to be in the squad instead of just the usual 4. And a lot of people could say, "Hey, that's cheating," and I'm like, "I know, and I don't care.
It's my game, bitch. I do what I want."
Yeah, the main times I used mods was for Mass Effect 3. The main one I used was the Mass Effect Happy Ending mod, which basically just took out the ending, took out the Star Child and everything. It was basically like, yeah, it's fine. We like my squad mates fine. We managed to outrun the pulse. We find Shepard. We take her out of the Crucible, and she and her love interest, in my case, came settle down and have biotic children, and everything is fine. Edie is fine. All the Reapers are
Everything's
gone.
fine.
Yeah, everything is fine because I can, because it's a mod. I could do I could do what I want. This is a piece of paper saying I could do what I want, kind of thing. And I used to use a lot of because I don't play I can't play City Skylines at the moment because Paradox is a bunch of shit. But I used to use its Steam Workshop integration for a load of things like road intersections. People use the traffic. There's a traffic manager mod which has a specific name which I can't remember, but that gives you all kinds of stuff to work around the way Skylines does traffic, which is a little arbitrary at times and lets you get into the nitty gritty detail. I was going to recommend a Mass Effect mod, but it's been taken down by the original creator because they originally made a mod called the Mass Effect Back Off mod, which basically it was a huge mod focusing on the Mass Effect romances, basically stopping some romances from constantly badgering you, like Liara, and basically just making it easier finding unused lines and putting them back in and all sorts of stuff like that. But the mod creator took them offline because they were taking a brief hiatus from the modding scene, the Mass Effect modding scene, and the mods that were already there for the original trilogy were not going to get ported over to the remastered version. And she had no assurances from Nexus mods that anybody who like took her mod and then sort of pasted it into the remastered trilogy, she would have no guarantee that hers would be the original, if you know what I mean, sort of thing. That they weren't working from her original work, and so that meant that they could just copy paste and just have it work in the remastered versions, but Nexus could still consider them the originators, and to prevent that from happening, she basically just took all her work off. And it wasn't just the back off mod, it was the Thane mod, it was like she had they were huge mods, like really big influential mods, and they're just gone now.
Yeah, these things happen.
Which is a real shame.
Yeah.
Yes.
I personally, if you want to mod your game, there's some great options out there. As you guys can see from the page that I've got on my next account here, there are games which I've got mods for. Fallout 4, very much so. Anything that kind of fits within the lore of Fallout, I tend to get because I like playing. Bethesda games are really good for the kind of modding them, mostly because if Bethesda could fix it, you at least could fix it. And there's some great mods out there. One of my favorites of all time is Tears the Fiend, which adds a backstory for your player character in Oblivion, which is like that's really good, fully voice acted quests and everything, like originally voice acted and everything. That was back in Oblivion. That was before Skyrim was a thing. So yeah, we're talking at least 15 years ago. Really good. Star Wars Empire at War. He's not gone.
Yeah, my favorite mods are the ones that take the you can't get achievements. You can't get achievements. You've got mods. Yep. My favorite mods are the ones that switch back on.
Yeah.
Because damn it, we want to be able to mod our games and not have to suffer for it. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Sorry, go on.
what I did with Command & Conquer Remastered. There was some achievements such as complete the game on the hardest difficulty. I wasn't going to do that normally.
Yeah.
Those games cheat to fuck. I'm not going to complete the game on the hardest difficulty. I'll just add this it's on the workshop. It's a little workshop thing. I then hold in a little key combination. I can see all the map now, and I have unlocked everything. And I've just won. Brilliant.
For DOS 2, I had everybody in my party, and it was basically like, you're going to make this game really, really easy. It's just like, unless you fight the final bot, it's not easy because you still have to micromanage everybody in the party. And in fairness, every of the non-player characters, you know what I mean? They have their own storyline. So technically, I'm playing through all those stories at the same time, Yay! Also, that final boss is really fucking hard, even with everybody in my party. I had an advantage, true, but even so, it was fucking nuts.
Oh yeah.
Modding also can
This is sorry.
No, please go on, Burr.
This is a single player game. Why
Yeah.
should you not be able to do whatever the fuck you want?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the idea I have. If you're not hurting anyone, what's the point? And there's great, like, one of the things, there was a great remaster kind of mod for Oblivion, which basically these people would take these little kind of small sections of the world and redesign them to be actually really beautiful. So basically they add like a creek and like logs and things. Basically taking busy work of what developers do and actually making something impressive because they can concentrate on crafting this little area. And it was fascinating to kind of watch that. I think it was called I think it was something like Tamaria Reborn or something. But yeah, great mods. Then of course there are mods like the Star Wars Knights of the Republic 2, the Sith Lords mods, where that the whole modding community restored cut content from the game to the point that that mod is now considered to be a part of the base game. Which that is impressive in its own right, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think there's a huge mod for Vampire: The Masquerade Bloodlines, the first game. That's basically
You can't play without mods.
Yeah.
It's a game where basically it's unplayable without mods, but if you play it with the mods, it fixes everything that's wrong with Vampire: The Masquerade.
I tried to play it without mods, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
Not fun, is it?
Well, I didn't get out of the tutorial.
There we go then.
No.
But to me, it's like a fun thing. Like, I like wandering around the Fallout universe and having like a Walther PPK. You know, that's the kind of a dingy, you know, with a silencer on there because I like to have a Bond thing.
I like to be able to romance companions I wouldn't have been able to romance normally. Cassandra Pendergast.
Then there's things like a real-time strategy. This year, Empire at War, Star Wars Empire at War, I think we covered it in our first episode of the podcast, got a massive update 12 years after its original release from the developers, which also provided expanded modding opportunities for the modders, because before they were restricted by specific bugs in the code, such as they couldn't create storylines for anything other than Empire, Rebel, or the Underworld. The developers removed that restriction in the update, so suddenly any faction can be had a story made out of it. And
yeah, and wasn't there something about unit queuing as well?
Unit queuing, they basically changed that and they expanded like the UI and removed the overflow. Basically, they removed a lot of the shackles that the modding community had been dealing with. And yes, the modding community had overcome them through workarounds, but now it meant that those workarounds weren't needed anymore, and resources could be put elsewhere. And it has really opened up the Empire at War modding community, which has been amazing to kind of see that kind of flourish over the last year.
Yeah, I guess you could. Yeah, you could streamline those mods as well. You don't need that workaround, so you could just compress what you've already got.
Exactly.
Makes it so much easier.
Have a whole slew. Sorry.
Go on, Bo.
No, that was it.
I mean, now because of that, hopefully you can have a whole lot of mods. That hopefully there will be an Empire at War Renaissance.
Yes,
you can suddenly have a lot of stories for other factions.
Games, real-time strategy games, are actually quite a good haven for mods, because Command & Conquer very much so as well has a lot of
Age of Empires as well.
Age of Empires, lots of mods that affect the gameplay and add new storylines in. Command & Conquer, for example, there's a mod that adds the Uprising units from Command & Conquer 3 Uprising, Red Alert 3 Uprising, into the main game of Red Alert 3 and balances them for multiplayer. Whereas before they were too overpowered to be able to be thinkable playing multiplayer. Now it rebalances them entirely for that purpose. And it can extend the shelf life of a game. Yes, Shadow.
I was just about to ask you, how old is Empire at War, back?
What, Star Wars Empire at War? 2005.
It's 2021, ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary folk.
Oh.
How long has that game been going on for? Been still being played, huh? Just because of modding?
Still being modded. No, not just that. It's not that the mods have been made and people are still playing it. It's still being modded to this day.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's you can't even. What else game can you say that?
That's kind of nuts.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
the time speaks for itself. Like that's the thing about modding is like it will expand your game for generations to come. I mean, I remember one of the podcasts you were I think it was one of the news items. You were talking about a total conversion of wasn't it Star Wars TIE Fighter into the X-Wing Alliance game.
yes,
A total conversion.
total conversion, basically updating Star Wars TIE Fighter to be playable within the Alliance engine, which is a more modern version of the game, meaning it's playable with high definition HD graphics.
That extends the life of both games, technically.
It does greatly. It's modding is one of the things where until you get into the nuts and bolts of it, you can't think of. My modding debut came in a game called Star Trek Legacy, and the original base game, fucking awful of a game. Whereas the Ultimate Universe team, which is who I was part of at that time, they took that, and I will say they because I was just a map maker. I didn't really do much. They took that game and they made it something special where it was a homage to Star Trek and very much honored Star Trek and what it belonged. And it was done out of passion. We didn't get paid for it. We didn't get any returns. There were egos. I'm not going to say there were definitely egos involved in that mod, but it was a passion of love from fans. And you see it all the time. And yes, not every mod is applicable to everyone. There are times in Fallout I've seen people like, oh, get a lightsaber in Fallout, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't want a lightsaber because that's not Fallout, and it's. They even have categories on there, which is like, this is lore safe, this is lore friendly, meaning this could be potentially within universe, and you get that. You see creators. I love looking at Fallout mods and see designers where like they're not just taking a weapon from real world and put it in there. They've made like what they think would be a weapon made from the Fallout universe and added that into the game. It's lovely seeing people just create and be creative with their mind and expand the world. And also, it can lead to influence in developers. One of the most interesting quests I've seen in Cyberpunk is the gun that can talk to you thing. I had a mod in Oblivion that was a whole quest line about getting a sword that could talk to you and was sentient. You know, I'm not saying they were I'm not saying they were definitely influenced by it, but it's the fact that maybe someone did see that and was very influenced by that idea. And in mods, you can experiment with things you normally wouldn't get that. Like, who wants a fucking talking sword that when you draw it's like forsooth and all that, you know? But it's hilarious, it's amazing, it's great. Yeah, me.
I mean, like some games like Player Unknown used to do modding for DayZ.
Yeah.
And then just made the battle royale genre. Like
yeah. Or like
Dota.
Wasn't it Riot that doing modding for Warcraft and then decided to make League of Legends out of it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's Dota.
Yeah. Dota came out of a mod, effectively.
A Warcraft 3 mod.
Yeah.
Which oh no, in fairness, there is some like map making enabled for Reforged, but probably not as much as would have been for the original game, which we can't use anymore, Blizzard.
Yeah, but that's another sort of thing that's interesting in the modding scene, modding community, that some of the developers would from the very start or almost from the very start either allow their own tools to be used by modders or provide either build their game in such a way that the framework is mod friendly, or even provide their own tools to the modders or create tools specifically for the modders.
Once again, go on, Shadow.
I was going to say, Colossal Order, who made City Skylines, basically, they love the modding community. They do mod spotlights for what they do, and what they do is they keep an eye on what mods are going on in the community, and anything that the modders can't do. For example, they couldn't put in weather. They couldn't put in weather, or I think it was a day-night cycle, and something to do with trams, I think. And basically, the developers went, okay, we see what you're doing. You can't do this, and you want this. let us handle that in the back end, and we'll put that as a free update kind of thing. And that's really fucking cool, I think, because a lot of I'm not going to say a lot of, I'm going to say some devs get very precious about their little babies and don't like people messing with them. But the thing is, I consider modding a form of fan participation. It's a form of fan art, a form of fan fiction kind of thing.
Exactly.
It's not out of malice or anything. Sometimes it is.
Sometimes it is.
Because but then again,
we've all seen Macho Man running around as a dragon in Skyrim. Come on.
I mean, I've written fan fiction that is basically me being real fucking spiteful against something that happened in a game. So, I can completely understand that sometimes it is out of spite and it's like, I actually want to do it this way kind of thing. But a lot of the time, like, people love your property so much that they want to play in your sandbox, man. That's what it is.
I love your game so much. I've finished it and I want to play it some more. So I'll find new ways of doing that.
I'll throw.
Yeah, and even. Oh, sorry.
No,
Eva,
please finish.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, even some games that are not like as sort of popular as Skyrim and stuff, such as Civ Beyond Earth, that released after Civilization 5. People are making mods for that and basically going, okay, so the leaders that we were given didn't really have much of a backstory, didn't really have, there's some issues around them. Let's give them backstories. Let's give them unique dialogue, and just let's modify the aliens so they're a little more aggressive, a little more easier. Just like, oh, let's have something else here. Like really bringing life into these games. And maybe they don't ever reach the dizzy heights of its progenitors, but they keep trundling along happily, and maybe that's all that they need to do.
Yeah, I'm going to shoot it across over to the chat. If anyone in the chat's got any mods that they kind of stand out, that they want to talk about, feel free. And while they're kind of calculating that, I want to shove this video up on there because this is one I love. I'm a big fan of the Back to the Future films, and this mod here is Back to the Future 5 mod, which adds the DeLorean time machine into GTA 5 story mode. You don't want to play online with that because you will get banned, but it adds the time machine complete with time travel and flying DeLorean features, which, is crazy when you think that modders were able to get that stuff working in game. Yeah, fantastic.
The tests that three of us have been doing with that.
Yes. We had a whole stream where not stream, but like a private stream on our channel where we were just playing around with that shit, like sending DeLorean into the future and waiting for them.
I still have a screenshot where Eva managed to land the DeLorean on the back of a moving train.
Yeah,
but while we're watching this, I wanted to add that about what Shadow was saying about the love for an IP, for a franchise, or for a game. Is sometimes so big that when a company is not really malicious towards mod, but so fucking sloppy. And I'm looking at you, the Project Red, with Witcher and with Cyberpunk. Those games, Witcher 1, 2, 3, and Cyberpunk, are fucking horrible to write mods to. They've always been, and that's because the Red Engine is not really good for that. And hundreds of thousands of modders said, how about we do it anyway?
Yeah, I remember there was like Mass Effect 3 apparently was really difficult to mod. And yet people did it anyway. People were just like, we're going to just jailbreak this motherfucker. Snap!
You got something to say, add to that, Lemming? Or?
No, just more of, yes, that. Modders will always find a way. People who love a game and are into, making things. I'll never be a modder. I do not have that sort of brain. But people who want to add things to a game will find out how. And they will work out how.
Modders, find a way.
Find a way.
Find a way. Yeah. And, not every game can be modded, or some games are extremely difficult, notorious to mod, because they're not given tools. Like, for all their faults, Bethesda, they at least provide tools very similar to their own to make mods in the game. The Garden of Eden creation kit, they literally called their development kit for Fallout 4 named it after the actual device from the game, the Garden of Eden creation kit, because it was about creating your own stuff. And many a times I was playing Fallout New Vegas, and I've just had added mods in there that added new factions, changed things around, added things to the story. And is it pointless? No, but it's fun, and it's my game experience. I can fully understand why you wouldn't want that in like a multiplayer experience. I fully understand that. But for a single player game, yeah, let mods be free. Daughter in the chat says, agree. It's why I use mods for my ETS2 playthrough.
Euro Truck Simulator 2.
Yeah, Euro Truck Simulator 2 for anyone reckon. Vanilla is nice, but having something minor like real names for companions, etc., makes such a big difference for me.
Yeah, when I played City Skyline, what I would do is I would there is an option to have left-hand drive on the roads, like default in game. But what I would do is I would look through the mods and find like British ambulance skins and like just stuff to make it look more British kind of thing, and that's really fucking cool.
I want this to feel like home.
Yeah, exactly.
I do that all the time. When I was playing The Sims 2 and The Sims 3, I'd go on to modthesims.com and find all kinds of new furniture that you could add into the game, new technology and new things. And yes, okay, a lot of them didn't have added functionality because the game wasn't coded to provide that functionality unless they were like a proper A-class mod and were able to add in and utilize existing animations and new features to kind of emulate what they were trying to do. But on the whole, it was able to provide a more personal experience.
Yeah. I'm just looking through the City Skyline sort of stuff now, and there's so much good stuff.
Well, let's talk about.
I just found a mod I'm going to be adding to GTA San Andreas.
What's that?
Replaces the baseball bat with the Xbox 360 Guitar Hero controller.
See, stupid shit like that.
Amazing.
I mean,
yes.
the mods that are just pure memes, just for lols, they are.
I think I've got one in the corner somewhere.
We're looking at.
They have their place. They're not for everyone. Like they're not for me, but they have their place. People do it for the lols at times. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's someone. It was like, why would you add a DeLorean into GTA? It's not fun because it's fun.
Why not?
Well, but
because it's for shits and giggles.
Yeah, the thing is,
GTA has always referenced movies.
Yeah, I think
it has heavy references to classic genre movies.
Well, I'm going with the idea that not everyone would like that in their game, and that's perfectly fine because that's the whole point about modding and tailoring the experience to your own. I'm trying to think of other kind of experiences. Now, one thing I think we should touch on is the more controversial aspect of what. You're nodding your head, Bert. What do you think I'm going to talk about?
I thought when the company either goes against the mods for no reason, just because this is ours, we don't allow mods, or when the mods actually are doing something that the company wanted to do for money, and the mods are doing it for less money or for free.
Yeah.
And probably better.
Yes. I mean, kind of. You get that with the GTA games, because recently Take-Two have not been very favorable. Recently modders reverse engineered GTA 3 and have been taken to court over that. Even though they reverse engineered the code, they didn't steal everything. All the assets on the art assets are from the original game, but they reverse engineered that code. That is their own code, technically speaking. What I was going to talk about is things like what Bethesda have been trying to do over the last few years. I'm like, you know what? Why don't we why don't we have you pay for mods?
Many unsuccessful times.
Many unsuccessful times. Why do you pay for mods?
The concept of paid mods, as in paying the person who made your mod a small amount to thank them for their work, brilliant on paper, absolutely fantastic. But at the same time, if you're the company pushing it and taking a lion's share,
how much are you taking?
How much are you taking from this shit?
Yeah, Bethesda? I would. Yeah, I could totally understand a tip jar.
Yeah,
but when it comes down to because the problem with paid mods is this happened very quickly on the Bethesda store was people just stole shit.
Yeah.
wholesale,
Yeah, it happens.
and
It will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
then the
some
same
mods
happened
can
when-
be. Oh, sorry, Burr.
Now, then very, very much similar or the same thing happened when Bethesda was trying to do that through Steam Workshop.
Mhm.
Then I think Bethesda tried it recently, like once again in 2016, 17.
Yeah, and
Didn't really work.
some mods can be. Some mods can just be a little bit. TOS violations. Let's put it that way. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say, some of the creations of some mods are very, very uncomfortable
Yep.
with their content.
Yep.
Very much so. It's difficult to walk the line of what people do in their own games is their own thing, but it's kind of like I was basically like, you're making some really weird ass fucking mods, guys.
If
and
you
it's
look
just
on
like,
the Skyrim,
but at the same time, it's like, okay, if you want to make that mod and you want to put that out there, and other people want to download that, that's your own business. So long as you tag it properly,
yeah.
so people can avoid it. It's just like at that point, it's just like I don't want to know.
If you go looking on Nexus mods and for Skyrim, I will warn you. You most likely are going to see some shit on there. And I don't mean bad shit. I mean like some shit. As like, I mean, this way, when you take off your whole armor in those games, you tend to have like some kind of rags underneath or something covering up
Underclothing.
Underclothing. There's mods which, can we say,
very detailed.
Yeah, get very detailed. Let's put it that way.
They get very anatomically
correct.
And they do allow for some relationships that might not be exactly kosher.
Yeah. Now, if that's your thing, that's your thing. But at the same time, it's there.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not here to discuss the morality of every mod that goes into every game that Bethesda does, because every game that Bethesda does has that one mod where it allows you to kill the children.
Every time, without fail.
Every time. Because Bethesda locks you away from being able to harm children. It's kind of a good idea, in my opinion, but that mod always exists. But
on one hand, it's not our business what you do with your game and with your mods. But on the other hand, don't be surprised that you're on various watch lists now.
Well, not just that, but it's more a case of, if you do go looking for that, just be aware that those exist and don't get shocked if you see them, and don't get put off by it and think this is all it is. No, it is an aspect of the community, for good or bad, but it is there. And to be fair, I actually, as someone who when I play Fallout, I tend to play as a female character, and I have to admit, I actually don't kind of the female body in that just is weird, and the outfits don't fit correctly. It's very weird. Whereas there's actually an outfit which gives you a more kind of neutral kind of look, and I kind of like that. And so that's a mod. And but it does. What's nice about that mod is it gives you options like, do you want to have nipples? Or do you want to just have? Or do you want to have or do you want to still have the rags underneath? Do you want to have the underclothing still? And it's like, it's nice that there are mods that are like, okay, we're going to give you a better body shape, but we're going to give you the option to still have the underclothing if you want, or whatnot.
Why, yes, God, I would certainly like
Arkham game.
Yeah. No, that reminds me that you just gave me a blast from the past when people did the buff femshet mod. Like the original femshet mod in the original femshet model in Mass Effect 3 had like noodle arms. Like, I will admit that she looks malnourished. Somebody did a mod where she is buff, and not like super buff, just like expectedly buff for a soldier. Let's put it that way. And that shit was just mwah.
I need to see this now. I need to find it.
Were you going to say anything, Burr?
We need it for science.
Yeah, I'll go have a look, and you guys can.
What I will say, if you're interested in modding out there, look into it and do your research. It's important to note that some mods out there, the Nexus, I think, is probably the best location to be. I know Barrett's controversy with that should have mentioned, but it also provides great resources in helping you. Most games have a launcher, which basically you could just download the mods to, it will install them, and you just have to follow some instructions, and that's it. Whereas manually installing the mods is a bit more complicated. Plus, some mods require other mods. Like there's an armor mod which I really liked, and if I wanted to use that mod, I had to get a particular body mod, and I didn't like that I had to get that body mod because I thought the body was fine, but I really like that armor, so I added that in, and that's what I did. It's and
Also,
you will get
Yeah.
conflict. You will get
Also-
conflicts and bugs happen. Yes, Bear.
well, for many, I think it's in the guidelines for Nexus mods, but for very many mods, it is sort of expected that the author would provide all kinds of information about how to install the mod, what are the dependencies of the mod, what it does,
Which order to load
etc.
them in.
Yes, which order to load them in. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
which
it's a great first step to.
it's a great first step
the modding.
to go through. Plus, also the mod, the Nexus mods, Vortex, or I think is what it's called. In fact, I've got a copy on here, Mike. Here, called Vortex. It, generally speaking, they'll try to make it as easy as it can for you. Here's what this mod needs. Here's the mods. When you install them, it will then put it in the proper load order for you and everything. So there have been a lot of strides in the last 10 years to really almost automate the modding process in terms of installation, and a lot of Nexus mods are at the forefront of that. Mods DB, they're kind of more like an all-in-one package. You get like a total conversion mod. You don't really get small stuff on there. Whereas Nexus is more like an a la carte. I want this. I want that. I want that gun. I want that armor. I want that thing, and I want that quest line as well. And I'll put that all in there. And it is what to say. You will get bugs. You will encounter parts of the world where suddenly, like, okay, there's a bit of thing floating on the floor. Oh, because there are two mods that are conflicting, one that alters both these areas and they're overlapping. Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I remember when something went horribly wrong with my happy ending mod, and I started to get the dialogue from the Star Child, but as emails to my shepherd on the email terminal, and I'm like, what the fuck?
I think that's creepier.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Oh, God.
I remember posting it on Tumblr to people. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And somebody was like, yeah, that's the Star Child. What did you do? And I was like, I don't know.
Shadow, what did you do?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
well,
will. Yeah, I
at
will.
least-
I just want to quickly add as well. I mentioned the Buff Shep mod. That's also one of the Mass Effect 3 mods that has unfortunately been taken down from Nexus mods. So unfortunately, no
that's a
Buff Shep.
shame, yeah.
Yeah.
Just the noodle hand ship for Legendary Edition. Too bad.
Boo.
Yeah, but when you have conflicting mods and you just end up with glitches in the game, that's really good. But sometimes your game will not run anymore.
Yeah.
Until you uninstall one of those mods and then test one after one. Sometimes it's a really long way until you figure out how to set them up and why they are not cooperating.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it takes a long time to really dial in the mod if you want it to. Especially you've got a lot of them, the more mods you have in a game, especially games like Fallout and Skyrim that respond well to having multiple mods loaded on top of them, the more mods there are, the more things you're changing, the more likely there's going to be a conflict, and the more things that got to load, the slower the game will go. So it is quite intensive. Don't be afraid. I've modded. If anyone needs any help with Fallout modding, in terms of getting it to run, I often very much say just approach myself and on my Discord, and I can generally tend to give you a bit of a hand with that. If you are coming up with what Burst says about the game crashing, check the help documents, check that you've installed it correctly, reinstall the game, reinstall the mod. If that doesn't work, and it's like a Nexus where you've got like things you can turn off and on, turn off half your mods, load the game, see if it loads. If it loads, then clearly it's one of the mods you turned off. So then just start kind of halving the list each time. Eventually you'll find the culprit.
Also, I wanted to praise games like XCOM and XCOM 2, which actually have, when you want to start a game, a window pops up with a list of mods that you have installed, and you can select which ones you want to run this time, and you can select which mods you want in various rounds, because you might want to. There are great mods for XCOM. There's long mod for the game, and then Long War 2 for XCOM 2. And you can select if you want to run the Long War, you might not want to run those other mods that are expanding the game. or the other way around. You want to run those UI enhancer mods, and you don't want to run the mods that change the contents of the game.
Oh man, I can't play Fallout 4 without Darn UI installed because it's such a good UI mod for that game. But yeah, I think we kind of generally really covered the topic of modding tonight in terms of our favorite mods that are out there, how it impacts games, how we feel it changes games. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's
Yeah,
a good...
mods are good.
Mods are awesome. More modding support and also more developer side support for modding as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It never hurts.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Today's modder is tomorrow's game dev.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going
Yeah.
through the city skyline sort of body thing and just looking at all I'm looking at all the trains, okay?
That's
I
fair.
like trains.
Is there
I
anything?
like trains.
Is there anything
I like
further
trains.
you three want to add to this?
Modding good. Do mod. Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
Please,
I'm
companies,
just saying.
cherish your modders.
Lemming?
Yes.
Looking at the buff femshep mod. Yeah, I'm going to be using that, and it also reminds me of the "What's your type" meme.
Yes.
If you know it, you know it.
Fair enough. Well, I think that's going to be it for today's episode of the Common Debts Podcast, episode 10. God, we'll be doing this for nearly a year. It's crazy. But yes, we'll be back, of course, in December for our December episode. Now, that would normally be around 28th of December. I'm going to check with the people, see whether we might do. We might even not do an episode in December and might then return in January. We might even do an early January episode, then a late January episode, just so we can catch up. We'll see. We'll discuss it with people and we'll go from there. But regardless,
it might not even be like a formal podcast episode. It might just be us making a roundup because we also forgot that the Game of the Year nominations came out.
Oh yes, the Game of the Year nominations come out. Well, to be fair, by the time we do the next one, we'll know what the Game of the Year awards are. So
fair enough.
So because the actual game awards will happen. So I was hoping we'll actually see what goes on. Anyway, my name's
Vote for It Takes Two. I swear to God.
My name's been Eback here.
Best game of the year.
Mine's been here. Scratch the best. We scratch that gaming itch. Joined, of course, by Burr,
Yo.
Lemming,
Yeah.
Shadow.
Oh, whoa.
And of course, thank you for joining us, our wonderful audience. We'll see you soon. Good night, everyone. Mwah.
Good night.
Bye-bye.